Today it's going to be displaying and interpreting data. Make a line graph for the following data. And you have 4 years, and you have 4 different populations there, one for each year. And then you'll have to answer the questions underneath of it. So to make a line graph, you're going to have to start off with something that looks like this. Something that goes this way and something that goes that way. And look at the data. Usually when you're given a table, the items that are on the left are the X items. In other words, the ones that go at the bottom of the line graph. You have 4 items. So on that line graph, you're going to want to make 4 marks. And you have 4 years, 1980, 1990, 2000, and 2010. So fill those in there. And you can start with 1980, then 1990, 2000, 2010. And now on the left-hand side, the y-axis, the one that goes up and down, is how you're going to mark off the population. Now there's no one right way to mark this off. You should look at the lowest number. The lowest number in there is 192 million, 192.3 million. So we could start at probably 200 million. So we can put a mark there, and we'll make that 200 million. Your highest one is 312.8 million. So your graph does not have to go any higher than that. So we need to go from 200 million to approximately, well, probably it could go higher. We could make it 400 million. You could make it like this, 200 million, and then this could be 300 million, and this could be 400 million. Mark it off so that it's easy to read. You don't have to get into minute detail on these lines. From there, you'll have to plot your information. So you go to the first year, 1980, and then find 192.3 million on your graph. So here is 1980, and 192.3 million would be approximately here. It's just below the 200 million mark. Your next one is 223.5, and that is for 1990. 223.5 would be approximately here. It's not exactly halfway because that would be 250 million. So it's got to be below that. And the next one for the year 2000, 286.1. 286.1 is going to be approximately here. It's got to be below the 300 million. And then the last one, 312.8 million for the year 2010 would be approximately here. Once you have finished that, you have to connect the dots. So it will go like this, and like this. Your line all the way through does not have to be straight. It just has to connect the dots. In other words, you don't have to try to make this one go straight through to this one and leaving these two out, for example. Just connect the dots. For which 10-year interval was the population growth the greatest? Can you tell by just looking at the graph which had the greatest population growth? Does the graph show that? Okay, which interval is it? 2010. Interval is in, you have to have 2 years, like it starts where and ends where?
2000.
It's what?
Starts in 2000 and ends in 2010.
starts in 2000 and ends in 2010. All right, we'll look at the data over here. What is the increase between this one and this one? The difference here is going to be 31.2. What is the difference between these two numbers here? Yep. 62.6, yes. What's the difference between these two numbers? Yep. 26 point what? Yeah, 26.7. Now, which interval had the greatest increase in population? Between what 2 years?
1990 and 2000.
That's right, 1990 and 2000. Okay, question number 2. What is the general trend? What is happening to the population in this graph? Increasing, yes. Predict the population for 2020. What do you think the population would be in 2020? Answers may vary. $380. It's a possibility. Anybody else have a guess? Yeah, if you went up by about 60 some, maybe 68, 67, it would be close to 380. And that did happen here, so it's a possibility. So you could predict 380 million. Try this practice problem, bring it up here on the table. Same type of problem as the last one. Now, you cannot try to cram this all on one little small piece of paper. It'll be too difficult to read. So you can take a piece of notebook paper and cut it in half. Just fold it and tear it in half. And share your extra half with somebody else next to you, so we don't have a bunch of half pieces of paper laying around. For this problem, you have to have your line graph outlined, the x and y axes, and you have the years 1920, 30, 40, and 50. So you need to fill those in. 1920, 1930, 1940, 1950. Alright, up the left-hand side, you're going to need some markings as well. 4 of those, at least. And we have 96 million up to about 182 million. So we should probably go with a starting point of 100. So we will zoom in. And let's start at 100. 100 million, and we got to go up to include 182 million at least. So why don't we go by 25s? Make this 125. That's not 112, that's 125. Sloppily written. And then 150. There's 175. And you could go up and include another mark for 200. And then plot your points. So we're going to start with 96.2, that should be approximately here. 112.5 is going to be about here. 152.4 about here. And 182.3 right about there. Connect the dots like this, and then answer the questions. For which 10-year interval was the growth the greatest? So which 10-year interval was it? 1930 to 1940 is right. So we'll put that one down. Describe the general trend. Increasing. And then predict the population for 1960. How much? 210. Okay. 210 million. You have a chart, and the questions are to make a histogram, and then which age group listens the least, and how many in the oldest age group listen. Make a histogram. Another name for a histogram is what? Starts with a B. Bar graph, yes. So, for a bar graph, we can do this. I need to zoom in. There we go. There's the outline of your bar graph. Now on the bottom, we're going to have your age group. And there's a couple of ways you can make your bar graph. We're going to do it like this. You have a group here, like 10 to 19, and you have 5 groups all together. So let's just go through here and make this 5 times. I ran out of room. I'll have to cheat a little bit. Come over here. And we'll have to make that last one almost in blue in the black there. And you have number of listeners. So before we do that, we want to have these age groups listed out. 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39. I need to zoom in. 40 to 49, and then 50 to 59. Now the number of listeners, the lowest amount in there is 12, the highest amount is 50. I think we could go by tens on this. So there is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so in the first group we have 17. 17 in the first group. So let's go over here and start in between those 2 hash marks. Just make a little mark there in between the 2, and it's got to go up to 17. So stop at about 17, then go across and complete it. There's your first bar. The next one, from the age group of 20 to 29, make a mark in between the next 2, and it's got to go up to 12, so just barely above the 10, and then make it go to the left. 32, so we're going to have to make another mark here and go up to about 32, but you have to complete this other side and then make your bar. And for 51, that's going to go up to about there, complete the other side, make the bar, and your last one is 28. This is the one we have to cheat on just a little bit. So make a dot or a mark there and go up to 28. There it is. There is your histogram. Alright, which age group listens the least? Which age group listens to the radio the least? 20 to 29. It is this one here. And how many in the oldest age group listen to the radio? How many people are in the oldest age group? 28. Okay, we had to make a histogram, and that's what Miss Wallace did. And then for the questions, we have which age group listens the least. It's going to be this one, 25 to 34. And the other question is how many in the oldest age group? 42.